Oh, what's this? This right here, man. This is just a 100K plaque. You know, we reached 100K. We finally did it. It's been a long journey. I just want to thank everybody that's liked, subscribed, watched the videos, man. We're going to keep bringing you these stories. Persistence is key. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it. Yes, sir.
Kendall Cedric Gill, born May 25th, 1968. There was a time when Kendall Gill looked like the future of the NBA. The sleek 6'5" guard out of the University of Illinois had the look, the bounce, and the two-way game to become a franchise cornerstone. In the mold of the league's rising stars, and in some whispers, even the one already wearing the crown. A Chicago native drafted just a few years after Michael Jordan's rise, Gill entered the NBA in 1990 as the 5th overall pick, with more than a few eyes wondering if he could follow in those footsteps. For a brief moment, it looked like he might. He came into the league with the Hornets, sharing the floor with a young Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning on a team primed for excitement. Gill could score 21 nights and clamp down the opponent's best player the next. His third season, he averaged over 20 points a game, had a 41-point night, and was seen as a future All-Star, possibly even more. And yet, that season would go on to be his peak. What followed was a long but uneven career that spanned 15 seasons and 7 teams. Gill became a known name, a defensive pest, even led the league in steals one year. But the leap from solid to star never happened. He was traded multiple times and often seen as a valuable piece, but rarely the piece. By the late 90s, Kendall Gill wasn't even in the what happened to him conversations anymore. He had simply been filed away in that vague space between promise and productivity, good enough to stick but not good enough to lead. There was no off-court scandal, no major injury derailing his career, no explosive fallout with the team. Kendall Gill did almost everything right, and still ended up being a name few remember when listing the top guards of his era. In that way, his story is quietly one of the most disappointing, because there's no obvious villain to blame, just a career that never caught fire like it should have. He had the talent, he had the opportunity, he also had the moment, but for Kendall Gill, those things didn't add up to greatness. And for someone who once looked like the league's next big thing, his fade into the background confused many. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Sing_praise for you on IG for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man.
Let's get it!
Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Kendall Gill was a 6'5" shooting guard small forward from Chicago, Illinois. Known for his silky mid-range jumper and lockdown perimeter defense, he emerged in the late 1980s as one of the most versatile wings in college basketball. After starring at Rich Central High School, Gill played 4 years at the University of Illinois and led the famed Fighting Illini to the 1989 Final Four. As a senior, he averaged 20 points per game and was selected 5th overall in the 1990 NBA draft by the Charlotte Hornets. Early on, he looked like a future star, averaging over 20 points per game by year 2 and forming a dangerous trio with Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning. But in a surprise move, Charlotte traded him to Seattle in 1993. From there, Gill's career became nomadic, 7 teams over 15 years. Despite his talent, he was rarely more than a valuable role player with untapped star potential. Stunt number 1, never finding the right system. Kendall Gill's NBA career started with real momentum. In just his second season with the Charlotte Hornets, he averaged 20.5 points per game, flashing the scoring, athleticism, and defensive tools that made him the 5th pick in the 1990 draft. It looked like Charlotte had found their long-term shooting guard, but after just one more season, Gill was surprisingly traded to the Seattle Supersonics. That trade became the first domino in a career defined not by failure, but by never truly fitting anywhere long enough to become great. In Seattle, he spent 2 seasons from 93 to 95, playing behind or alongside established guards like Gary Payton and Ricky Pierce. His scoring dipped, his role became inconsistent, and the chemistry was off. He still contributed, posting solid all-around numbers, but the Sonics never seemed fully invested in him long-term. After 2 seasons, he was traded back to Charlotte in 1995. but even that homecoming lasted just 36 games. From there, traded to the New Jersey Nets, playing the final 11 games of the 95-96 season due to injury. In New Jersey, he had his longest stretch, leading the league in steals in 1999, had some big scoring nights, and started regularly. But even with that run, Gill never felt like the face of the franchise. He was solid but replaceable, valuable but not untouchable. That kind of player teams liked having but didn't build around. By the 2000s, he had brief stops with Miami, Minnesota, Chicago, and Milwaukee before retiring in 2005. 7 teams in total, multiple role changes, and no real system to call home. That kind of career instability can derail even the most talented players. In Gill's case, it masked his potential. He had the tools, two-way ability, size, athleticism, but was constantly asked to adapt instead of being developed. Stunt number 2, inconsistency and a passive mindset. Kendall Gill, by all accounts, had all the tools to become a franchise star. But despite his physical gifts and early production, what often separated Gill from the players who did become stars was his inconsistency and what many described as a passive approach to the game. He didn't lack effort, he defended hard, kept himself in shape, and rarely caused drama in the locker room. But game to game, his impact fluctuated. One night he could drop 30 and look like a rising star. The next he'd disappear for long stretches offensively, letting others take the lead. It wasn't a matter of effort, it was mentality. He didn't demand the game run through him the way elite guards of his era did. While teammates like Larry Johnson or Alonzo Mourning were vocal, assertive personalities who played with fire, Gill's demeanor leaned quiet and steady. That calm presence helped him blend into teams, but it also made it easier for him to be overlooked. In an era of alpha scorers and ego-driven competition, Gill didn't carry himself like a player who needed to take over. That's not to say he didn't have big moments. He had big games in his career and was a dependable closer in short stretches, but he never truly owned the role of lead guard. Coaches seemed to want more from him, fans expected the next step, but Gill rarely made a definitive push to be the face of a franchise. He didn't force the issue, and in the NBA, if you don't force the issue, someone else will. Even when he returned to Charlotte or found consistency in New Jersey, he played like a high-level role player. Whether by personality or coaching influence, he settled into that space early and never quite broke out of it. Stunt number 3, good at everything, great at nothing. Kendall Gill was the type of player every team wants, but few ever build around. He could score, defend, rebound, and pass at a respectable level. He had the size and athleticism to guard multiple positions and the conditioning to play big minutes. But despite all of that, he lacked one defining skill that made him stand out. In the end, he was good at everything, but never great at anything. His offensive game was steady, but not explosive. He wasn't a knockdown shooter, nor was he a natural playmaker. His handles were solid, but not elite. He could slash and finish, but wasn't a creative scorer. Defensively, he was excellent, leading the league in steals in 98-99, but he never earned all defensive honors, and his efforts often went unnoticed compared to flashier defenders of the era. That lack of a signature trait made Gill reliable but replaceable. While stars like Reggie Miller were known for clutch shooting, or Gary Payton for defense and trash talk, Gill never carved out that specific identity. He blended in. Even when he was the most athletic guy on the floor, or one of the best defenders, it didn't translate into star branding or all-star recognition. That might explain why he was traded so often. Teams liked what he brought, but never saw him as irreplaceable. And over time, that journeyman label stuck. He wasn't seen as someone to build around, but rather someone who filled gaps. In an NBA driven by elite specialization, whether it's shooting, scoring, passing, or defending, Gill's all-around game oddly worked against him. Had he doubled down on becoming elite at just one thing, whether as a scorer or shutdown defender, his career might have told a different story. Instead, he became another what-if, a player whose potential quietly dissolved under the weight of balance instead of bursting from greatness in one clear direction. All in all, Kendall Gill had a long, productive NBA career that many players would envy. He played 15 seasons, scored over 12,000 points, led the league in steals, and left the game with his health and dignity intact. but for someone once viewed as a rising star, someone who had a 20-point season by year 2 and all the tools to become a franchise cornerstone, his legacy feels quieter than it should. Gill was never a bust. He contributed everywhere he went, stayed professional, and proved he belonged. But in a league where the spotlight only shines on the unforgettable, he remained just outside its reach. Not because he wasn't talented, but because he never found the right system, never took full control of his own stardom, and never specialized enough to leave a lasting mark. But still, salute to one of the best shooting guards of his era. But for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.